Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, the last one for the week. Can you believe it's weekend already? Anyway, we bring you the top stories from Israel and surrounds every Monday to Thursday, right here on this platform. And if you miss it on this platform, or just if you prefer YouTube, we have you covered. You can check us out there at the Israel Brief, and we would love it if you subscribe by clicking on the big red subscribe button. But before we head off into the weekend, let's look at those top stories. And we begin with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who is in the country at the moment. And today, in an incredible announcement, the Secretary of State announced that the United States of America's State Department will now recognize the global BDS, that's Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Movement, as anti-Semitic, and this follows the Austrians and the Germans who've also designated BDS as anti-Semitic, and he said they will move with immediate effect to crack down on what he called a cancer. And if this wasn't enough, the Secretary of State, on a historic visit to the Psagot winery in the West Bank, and then he will go later onto the Golan, he also announced that the US will now designate any goods that are made in the West Bank on Israeli settlements as made in Israel. And this comes as in stark contrast to the EU, who want to relabel those products as made in the settlements. And it's an extraordinary win for Israel today. And as the Secretary of State embarks on his farewell tour of the region, so Prime Minister Netanyahu expressed our appreciation and his personal appreciation to the US Secretary of State, who has worked so diligently and with such commitment on behalf of the State of Israel. And things continue to be looking up, and it was announced last night, albeit very, very quietly, that the Palestinians have returned their ambassadors to the United Arab Emirates and to Bahrain. And when the Abraham Accords were announced, they withdrew their ambassadors with immediate effect. And also an announcement coming in is that they will consider the salaries that they pay certain terrorists. And while we would love them to end pay for slay with immediate effect, to stop paying the stipends or the salaries of terrorists who kill Jews or who set out to kill Jews and are in prison, this is certainly a step in the right direction. And our final story, what would a week be without coronavirus? And we look at where Israel is holding at the moment, and the health ministry are discussing whether or not to make the vaccine compulsory. It is good news that we are in the stage that we're already discussing vaccines and what kind of rollout plan. But while we're not there yet, we certainly are major steps closer. And it was also decided that the zoos, restaurants and tourist attractions in areas that have been designated tourism hotspots, this is Eilat, the Dead Sea, and Gedi, they will be allowed to open very, very soon, giving much needed income to those areas which are very, very reliant, in fact almost solely reliant on the tourism industry. So those are your top stories. We end this week with a little bit more positive news than we began the week with. And from all of us here at Lay of the Land and the Israel Brief, we wish you a wonderful weekend, and we know you're looking for things to do. So don't forget, you can check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. You can read Dave Kaplan's brilliant article about reaching for the stars. What are we talking about? We're talking about the fact that Israel is sending a second astronaut into outer space, and Dave also pays tribute to the incredible Ilan Ramon. Don't miss it. It's up on our website. It's also up on our Facebook page. While you're there, give us a like, give us a follow, share the content. Don't forget to check where we are tomorrow when we bring you our weekly Shabbat Shalom. We're also up on Twitter. Interact with us at layoftheland.5, or actually at layoftheland5. It's been a long week, lots of information. And then there's that YouTube channel that we know you want to subscribe to. You can find it at the Israel Brief. So wishing you all, wherever you are in the world, a safe, a peaceful, and most importantly, a healthy weekend. Shabbat Shalom from all of us, and we'll see you again on Monday.